Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to use the web elements keyword. Web elements keyword. But before we do that, let's run all the test cases we have in this test suite, in the test file, so it registers all the employees. So let me quickly run that. Let's make sure the tags are the same: register, 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 register. And let's run them by changing the tag to register as well, and enter. Yes, still working as it should. Jane Smith is also registered. Michael as well. Diego. And last but not the least, Gretchen. Yeah, so all of them have been registered. Let's refresh and see. Yes, so we still have all the registered employees. Let's check the logs. Yeah, so we have all of them. So meaning when we open each and every one of them, we are going to see this go to website. So we have the go to website, we have the closing procedures. We have go to website, closing procedures. So we have the test setup for each test case and a test tear down for each test case as well. But then we have the suite setup and the suite tear down only once before and after all the test cases run. So we still have these working as they should. So now suppose we want to delete the employees. What do they have in common? They have the delete button in common. But now if I want to delete John, I have to do it manually. Jane, I have to do it manually. So let's see. Let's go to inspect, and let's see if you can use this locator tool. So let's say any button with the text of delete. Yes, so as you can see, we have 5 delete buttons on a page. So if we add another employee, it's going to be 6 and so on. So 5 elements matching this search criteria. So there is a keyword in the Selenium library which can be used to grab all these buttons using this criteria or using this locator. So from here we are telling the crow path to get any button or all buttons that has text, the text of delete. So it is grabbing all these 5. So how do we do that, or how do we tell the robot framework to do that for us? By just applying this criteria. That is where web elements come in. Web elements come in. So when we go to the Selenium library, we have web elements. So you just type the web elements and it brings the web elements keyword. And this is it. It says returns a list of web element objects matching the locator. And then starting from Selenium 3, the keyword returns an empty list if there are no matching elements. In previous releases, the keyword failed in this case. But the problem is, at this point, we don't know what a list is. It keeps saying returns a list, returns an empty list over here as well. But what are lists? Let's check what they are. So lists are basically variables. So it is a data type that is used to store a collection of data. And there are 3 other types. We have the tuple, the sets, and the dictionaries. For this tutorial, I'm going to stick mainly with the lists and dictionaries. So the list is basically a variable that stores multiple data. The normal variable stores only one. If you have an age, you can just have maybe age 18 or age 20. But the list can store multiple ages. So you can have one variable which stores a lot of ages, for example. So they are used to store multiple values or items in a single variable. So this is how a list is. So a list is basically a container that stores multiple values or items. So we have the length to be 5, meaning there are 5 items in this list. So let's say this would be a shopping cart or something like that with 5 items. So apple, banana, carrot, egg, and milk. So item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, and item 5. So this is a list of 5 items. So the length of the list is 5. Now we have a list of countries, and the length is 8. So we have item 1, item 2, item 3, which is Ghana, item 4, 5 through to 8. So item 1, Japan, item 6, Nigeria, item 8 is England. And then we have Japan at position 0. Even though Japan is the first item in the list, its position is 0 because lists, or in other programming languages, arrays. So lists are the same as arrays, but just a different name. Lists are in Python and arrays are typically in C++ or JavaScript or any other language, but there's that same thing but different names. So we say lists or arrays are 0 index, meaning the position in memory starts from 0. So Japan, instead of having the position or its index to be 1, it starts from 0. Its index or position in this country's array or list is 0. So Germany will be position 1, Ghana will be position 2, Finland will be position 3, and England will be at position 7. So if there are 5 items in the list, the last item in the list has position 4. But in this case, we have the length or the number of items in the list to be 8, meaning the last item will have 7, which is England. So the position of England in this case is 7, meaning the length of the array or list minus 1 is always the last item, and then the first item is always the list 0. So the first item in the list is always 0, and these are known as the indexes. So if I say item at index 3, then that is Finland. So in this case, that is the 4th item in the list. So item at index 7 will be England. In this case, England. So typically, this is how lists look like, or arrays look like. So we have an array or list of countries. So this is the variable, and we have the equal to sign, and then the block brackets or the square brackets, and we have a list of countries. So Japan, Germany, Ghana, Finland, USA, Nigeria, Canada, England. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the length is 8. So this is how lists are created. The name of the variable, the name of the list you want, usually should be descriptive, equal to sign, and then the items in the list. We can also have numbers. So instead of having countries, we can have a list of numbers, 1, 2, 3, and so on. And this is how we access the item in a list. So if you want Japan, we are telling it to go to the countries variable and go to position 0. And this is how we access it. So go to position 0, and that will be Japan. Do not, I'm just using this to denote that when you go to countries position 0, is Japan. But if you actually do this in the code, it is going to store Japan at position 0. So which means if you want to overwrite something at an array position or a list position, we can do it this way. So I'm just denoting that Japan is at position 0. in this case. So let's just stick to that for now. We are not overwriting the value in position 0, but just so we are clear that the item at countries 0 is Japan, countries 1 is Germany, and country 7 is England. Now that we have a fair idea of what lists are, let's try and implement an example in the robot framework. So let's see. So let's create a different file for that. Let's call it mylist.robot. Enter, and let's give it variables, and then let's write test cases, and let's see my list. Let's give it a tag. It's supposed to be tags, and then let's and let's see if this is working as it should. Trying out lists. So you can just do this, and then the name of the file, my list, and we can remove this as well. Let's enter and see if it's working. So right click, yeah, so my list. So trying out list. So let's go back, and this is how we define a list in the robot framework. The @ sign. So when the @ sign starts, you are telling robot that this is a list. So let's say countries, and then we have, let's say, Japan, then Germany. Let's see what it says. Oh yeah, forgot to bring the so @ sign, curly brackets, and then the name you want. So Japan, Germany, let's say Ghana, Finland. So instead of logging trying out lists, let's log the list itself. But this is how we access the list. Even though this is the @ sign, we are just telling robot the @ sign means it's a list. But to access it, we just use it as the normal variables. So the log $sign and the name of the variable, which is countries. So let's run it again and see what happens, if there's an error or not. So let's go back, my list again. So log countries, and it has logged. So as you can see the block brackets. So it has logged the Japan, Germany, Ghana, and Finland. So let's go back. So if we want to display only an item in the list instead of the whole list, so now this is displaying all the items in the list. So now let's display, let's say, Japan. So all we have to do is type the name of the variable, countries, and then the syntax is the block brackets, and we all know Japan is at the 0 position because it's the first item. So what do we have to do? All we have to do is type 0. Let's duplicate this and do 1. Let's see. Let's run it again. Yeah, it has finished running. So the first one logs all the countries: Japan, Germany, Ghana, Finland. And then the second one, which is log countries block bracket 0, meaning we are telling it to log only the first item in the list. That is Japan. And we have the second one. We are telling it to log the item at position 1, which is Germany. So let's try something out and see. Duplicate again. So they are what? 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's say 4. Let's see. So we are telling it to log the country at position 4. So let's see what happens now. So it has finished. And now we have one failure. What does it say? It was able to log the Japan in this case. It logged Germany in the second case as well. And then here, log 4. Let's see. List countries has no item in index 4. So which means we have gone out of bounds. Even though there are 4 items in the list, that is Japan, Germany, Ghana, Finland. It is telling us that list countries, so the variable countries, has no item in index 4. Meaning when we start counting, Japan is 0, Germany 1, Ghana 2, Finland 3. There is nothing at position 4, even though there are 4 items. So that's why lists or arrays are 0 indexed. So if you want the last item in the list, there is a way to do it. So let's see. Let's go. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3. But the number of items in the list is 4. But what if it increases to 5? For now, we can hard code the 4. So let's see. So this is what countries 4. The 4 is the length. So what? -1. Let's see if this works this time around. It's run. Still, it says list countries used with invalid index 4-1. To use 4-1 as literal value, it needs to be escaped like this. We are trying to do mathematics in a block bracket, which is not allowed. So we need to do it this way. So let's go to the PyCharm and see. 3. Let's see if it gives Finland this time around. Yes, so it gives 3. It gives Finland because there is an item at position 3, which is Finland, because 0 in there. So 0, 0, 1. So the 2 would have been Ghana, and then the 3, Finland. But the problem is we can't keep typing these manually, because there is this issue of when I typed the 4, it can go out of bounds. Yeah, that was an intentional error. I wanted to show you the error message that will come, and this was also an intentional error. So many things can happen if you are manually typing this. You might make mistakes, and even if we remove the fact that you can make errors or mistakes, if there are 1,000 entries or 1,000 values in these countries, you can't manually be typing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 to 1,000 or to 999. There is another important concept to understand, and we can't use lists without it, and that is the loops in robot framework or in programming in general. So we would look into loops as well, so it will be easier for us to access the values we have in the lists. Thank you for watching.